Okay, welcome to the 6th video in the stereo speaker tutorial series, and in this video I'm going to take you from this model, which you should know and recognise, to having this, which is a flat pattern of our model, all the way through to having this, which is a 2D vectorization of our model that can be edited for laser cutting and used to laser cut all of the parts in one go. So let's look at what we're actually going to be doing here. We've got our model, and this is the test one that I've been using to start with, and I've used Fusion 360 to convert it into a flat pattern, and it's automatically arranged it for me so that everything is laid out really quite nicely. I can even adjust some of the settings for how close and how far apart things are. This is ideal for laser cutting as it nests things as efficiently as possible. And then we eventually need to get our work exported into a format like this. And we're going to hit a few speed bumps. There's going to be a few problems around this, but we're going to look at the solutions and how we get around it. So I'm going to close this, and we're going to open the work we've been working on. So we're going to go to our stereo speaker, and we're going to open up our assembly. So here I've got my assembly, and I'm going to minimize my data panel here just so that I've got maximum visual space on my screen. We need to go over to this option up here, which chooses what workspace we're working in, and we're going to go down to manufacture. Now this is traditionally a space where you can program CNC operations such as routers, milling machines, and even laser cutters and 3D printers. But we're going to use this just for arranging our work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the additive tab up here, and we're going to press create manufacturing model. And what this does is just gives us a manufacturing model in here linked to our design. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit my manufacturing model. And this gives us a bunch of things that we can do. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a sketch plane. So we do a new sketch, and we're going to do it on the top plane. Rotate around a bit, and we'll click top plane there. Now I'm going to do my sketch away off to the side. So my sketch is going to be a rectangle. I'm going to start it down here, and I'm going to do it 450 millimeters wide and 300 millimeters high, which is roughly the area of the laser cutter bed that I'm working with. I'm going to finish that sketch and then press my home view again. I can now go to modify, and down here I've got the arrange tool. This is a really handy tool. With this tool, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my envelopes tab over here and select my drawing that I've just drawn out. This is the area that the parts will be laid out in. So the software will now know when I select a part to place it in this area. Now we are going to have to go slowly with this, because if you try and do too much too quickly, you will overload the system and it will get confused. So I'm going to start off by selecting them over here one piece at a time. And you see down the bottom right hand corner, I had a little bar there just filling up, showing that it's working. I'm now going to add the second piece, and the third piece, and the fourth piece, and the fifth piece, and the sixth piece. And see how they're placing these dividers inside the available spaces here. This is going to really save us some space when it comes down to material usage, reducing waste. It's a much more efficient way of doing things. And I'm going to keep adding them in one at a time. But now, with that one, it actually moved things around, because it realised it can use this space for this part here and then put these two bits in here rather than in there. And the whole front thing, and things moved around again. I'm just going to move my screen a little bit. There we go. So That's placed things in there quite nicely. Everything looks quite nice and nested. It's quite neat. I can, in the envelope, just go in to look at the object spacing. So I've got everything 1.5mm apart. That gives me a nice little gap. If you're doing something for CNC operations with a tool head, such as a router cutter, then you might want to increase that spacing. But for laser cutting, that's more than sufficient. It minimises our waste, but you don't run into too much of a risk of things overlapping. So I'm going to press OK. And there we go. We have it. Right. I've reached something. I'm saving. Okay, so we've got that saved. Very nice. Right. So the next thing we've got to do is somehow get this out of this software. And there's an easy step that sometimes works, but when we've got the complex geometry we've got, it's not going to work. So I'm going to do a new sketch. I'm going to do it on the bottom plane. You can do it on the top plane if you want. It doesn't make a difference. And here I'm going to do create. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. So I had to click on the screen before it got my sketch tools up there. So go to create and project include and project. The shortcut for this is P when you're in sketch options. And here it says select my geometry, and selection filter is either entities or bodies. We can leave it on entities, and projection link, that just links it to what we've actually projected it from. And what this is going to do is going to take an outline. So I'm going to click on each of my parts in turn. I haven't got to click on the line. I just click on the actual body itself. So I'm being careful, zooming in where I need to click on the actual surface, not an edge. You can do just edges if you want to, but that takes a lot longer. This is a lot easier. So I'm just selecting everything and then pressing OK. And I can finish that sketch. So that's lots of purple bits on there. Purple shows that it's a linked projection. And all I need to do is find that sketch. So I do believe this is that sketch here. Yep, I can make it visible and invisible. And what I need to do now is export that as a DXF. So I'm going to right click. I can do save as DXF. Now, if you're using the web version of this, you'll have to save to the project in the cloud. If you're on a desktop version of this, you can save it to your computer. So I'm going to do mine save to my computer. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it, let's type properly, shall we? Speaker flat pattern 1. And the one in there is going to be a little bit important because there's pretty good odds that this isn't going to work, and that's okay. So I've saved that, and I'm now going to go over to 2D design. So now we're in 2D design, we're going to try and import that DXF file. If we go up to the top up here, you've got the options. You can go use it there, but the shortcut here is import file, the fifth option along. And it's taken me to the folder that I've been using where everything gets downloaded to. And here it is, speaker flat pattern 1. And when I open it, it asks me, do I want it in inches or millimeters? Well, we're working in millimeters. So I can press OK. And we've got a problem. It doesn't quite look right. That's not what I had on here beforehand. And it's definitely not what we got on Fusion. Nope. And that's because we've got complex geometries that are interdependent on other geometries. And the short answer is it got confused. It gets confused, and there's no simple way of just pressing a button and making it happen. So what do we do then? Well, what we can do is we can save our work and we can open up a new design. And in this new design, we're going to do create sketch on the front plane. We'll zoom out a little bit and we can insert a DXF. Now, if you've got one, when it says to select a file, you can either do one from your cloud folder. So if you saved it to the cloud folder, you haven't got to worry about trying to upload it. I'm going to select mine from my computer because that's where I downloaded it to. And speaker flat pattern 1 is there. And it's brought it in all the way over there for some reason. It doesn't make much of a difference. I'm just moving mine to the middle for the sake of it. I'm going to press OK. And we have that file. It's everything that we wanted it to be, but this time it's just a basic copy of all those finished geometries, none of the interdependent geometries, so nothing that's linked to anything else. It's just exactly what we want it to be. I'm going to finish my sketch, press extrude, select the profiles I want to extrude, and this is a bonus to the way we done the holes in the front here. Making sure I select all of the parts, because that is a little bit important. And put a distance of 3mm. This thickness doesn't actually matter, but that's now 3D. So I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to save this in the stereo speaker folder. And I'm going to call this flat pattern. And we need to save it in order to go on to the next step. The next step is going back up to this workspace tool up here and go to drawing from design. And when we get into here, it gives us a lot of options on here. We want full assembly, create drawing from new, templates. We don't actually need a template at all. A3mm, okay. And it gives us a workspace straight away. And it asks us to place our work in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my scale. You can type it or you can click on these three dots to the side for settings. And you want a scale of 1:1. That means full size, full scale. And it takes a moment to load itself and get itself working. But place it on there and then press OK. But we've got all this other stuff overlapping that we're not going to want. Well, we can just click on that and press the delete button and it will remove all the excess stuff. Okay, so we've got that, which is quite handy. So first off, let's save that. And that's flat pattern drawing. It automatically adds a drawing to the end of your file name. Press save, and we've got that saved. We now need to export it. So if you're using the full version, you can export, in fact, even if you're using the web version, you can export as DXF. In the web version, you'd save it to the cloud. In the full version, you're going to save it to your personal files. And flat pattern drawing V1 sheet 1, that's the file name we're going to go with. Okay. I'm going to save mine to my cloud as well, just so I can show you how to retrieve that in a little while. So I'm going to press save. Once you've got that saved, go back to your 2D design, and I'm going to import that file now. And there we go, flat pattern drawing V1 sheet 1. I'm going to press open in millimeters, and there we have it. That is what we need for laser cutting. Everything is there, all the individual parts, they can be laser cut out. And the only thing that needs to be done at any point is these holes on here will need to be countersunk by hand with a drill. The rest of it can be done by laser cutter. If you want to add any engravings, decorations, designs to the front or the back, maybe a little sign saying USB here, jack port, switch, any sort of indications and personalizations you want, you can do that on here. The only thing to remember is with the line color, we choose red for our laser cutter for cutting, because red is the danger cutter. That's the one, danger color, sorry. That's the one that cuts all the way through. Any engravings we do in black. And you can add etchings on here, patterns, make it look fancy. That's absolutely fine. Go for it. But you can then save that and get ready to laser cut that out and use it. Right, let's look at how we're going to do this if you're using the web version. So I'm going to close this down, load up the web version, and then show you how to get this file out. Okay, so here we are in the web version of Fusion 360. And if I go over to my data panel, and I can scroll down to my folder for my work, my stereo speaker folder. It takes a moment to load, and in stereo speaker, I've got all my parts here. It's all synced, cloud backup. And here is my flat pattern drawing right here. So I've got that. and I can go to my drawing here. If I open up the drawing, okay, so there's my work there. And from here, I can export sheet as DXF, but it only lets me do it to my cloud system, my cloud storage. So stereo speaker, and it would end up exactly where I've got that one there. So what I can do for that, I can't download it straight from here. I can create a Fusion design from it, I can share a link from it, etc. But I can't download it. Yeah, there's no options in here. So what I can do though, is I can press this button here, which says open on the web, which takes me to my Fusion cloud storage. And this is where all my files are stored. And there it is right there. And just over here is a download button. I can press that and that file is instantly downloaded. And then from there, you can carry on doing exactly what we've done before, importing it into 2D Design, making any final adjustments or edits you want, and saving your work. So that's how we've got to here. Right, good luck.